Welcome back to the deep dive. It is wonderful to have you with us again. We're really moving right along in this series, aren't we?
You certainly are. It feels like we're building something here, a real foundation.
I think we are. I'm still thinking about our last conversation. We talked about incentives,
Hmm.
and it was just such a light bulb moment for me. Just understanding that, if you want to know why someone is doing something, you have to look at what they're being rewarded for.
Right.
It seems so simple, but it explains so much. I found myself analyzing everything this week, just looking for the hidden rewards.
That's the danger and the joy of these concepts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you see them, you really can't unsee them. And incentives are incredibly powerful. As we said, they drive the outcome. But,
There's a but.
and it's a big but, we have to be careful not to oversimplify the world.
Careful. How so?
Well, think of your mind as the toolbox. Incentives are like a hammer. It's a fantastic tool, maybe even the best tool for driving a nail. But if you only have a hammer, you might start trying to fix a leaking pipe with it.
And that's going to be a disaster. You'll break the pipe.
Exactly. Incentives are powerful, but they are just one tool. We need a full toolbox. If you rely on just one model to view the world, even a great one, you're going to have massive blind spots.
So today is about filling up that toolbox.
It is. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of the most important concepts in our source material. It's the concept of the lattice work,
The lattice
specifically the lattice work of mental models.
lattice work. That's an interesting word. It sounds a bit, I don't know, architectural.
It is, and that's completely intentional. The primary source we're looking at today is a speech from 1994 given at USC. And in it, the argument is made that you can't just memorize facts
Which is how most of us were taught in school, right?
Yep.
Memorize the date, memorize the formula, pass the test.
and then forget it 2 days later.
Eh.
Precisely. And the source argues that this method just completely fails in the real world. The core logic here is that isolated facts are useless.
Useless. That's a pretty strong word.
It is, but think about it. If you just have a fact floating around in your brain unattached to anything else, you can't really use it. You can't apply it. The source text has this great quote. It says, the first rule is that you can't really know anything if you just remember isolated facts and try and bang them back.
Bang them back, like just reciting them on an exam.
Exactly. It's just rote memorization without any real understanding. To truly have wisdom, to get how the world works, you need a framework. You need a structure to hang those facts on.
And that's where the lattice work metaphor comes in.
That's it.
Okay, so let's unpack this image a little. When I hear lattice work, I think of a garden, like a wooden trellis you put up so ivy can climb up it.
That is the perfect visualization. That's exactly it. Imagine your mind as that garden. If you just throw the facts on the ground, they just become a tangled mess.
Right, they don't grow properly.
And you can't find what you need. But if you build that trellis, that lattice work, the plants have something to hold on to. They become organized. They grow stronger.
So in this metaphor, the wood of the trellis that's made of these mental models.
Yes. And here's the crucial part. These models shouldn't just come from one place. You can't just build your trellis out of business or economics.
Yeah.
You need models from physics, from biology, psychology, math.
Which is so interesting because in university, these are all separate buildings. You had the science building over here and the psychology building way across campus. They don't talk.
And that's the problem we're trying to solve. We
Yep.
create these knowledge silos. But the real world doesn't care about university departments. Real world problems are messy. They involve money and human emotion and physical constraints all at once.
So we need to break down the walls between the classrooms. Stop saying I'm a marketing person or I'm a finance person.
We do. We need to realize that, the laws of physics and the laws of psychology can actually work together to explain something like a business success.
I love the theory, but I need to see this in action. It sounds a little abstract. How can physics and psychology possibly explain a business? Is there a concrete example in the sources?
Oh, we have maybe the most famous example in all of business history, the Coca-Cola case study.
Coca-Cola. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows Coke. It's got to be the most recognized brand on the planet.
But do they understand why it's so dominant? This example comes from another speech, Practical Thought, from 1996. The premise is simple. Imagine you're starting a company in the late 1800s. You want to create a beverage that will eventually become the most popular drink in the world. How do you do it?
Well, my first thought is it has to taste good.
That's part of it, for sure. But if you look at it through the lattice work, you realize Coke didn't just win on flavor. That's looking at it with only one lens. It succeeded because it harnessed these powerful forces from math, psychology, physics, and biology.
Okay, that's a big claim. Let's break that down. Start with math. How on earth does math explain a sugary soda?
It all starts with the concept of compound interest.
Compound interest. We usually talk about that with, bank accounts, earning interest on your interest.
Right. But it applies to business volume too. Coke didn't become a giant overnight. It started small. But if you grow at a steady rate, year after year, for 100 years, the math of compounding just creates these massive, massive results.
And the total market for liquid is, what, every human being on Earth?
Exactly. Every human needs water. We drink huge amounts of liquid every single day. If Coke could just replace a tiny fraction of that with their product and let that compound for a century, the math says they become a global empire.
So math tells us time is the secret ingredient. Consistency over decades.
That's it. Now let's add a second lens, psychology.
This feels a bit more intuitive. We're talking about marketing and ads.
It goes way deeper than just catchy commercials. The source points to a concept called operant conditioning.
Operant conditioning. That sounds like a lab experiment with mice or something.
It basically is. It's the idea that behavior is driven by consequences. If you do something and get a reward, you're conditioned to do it again.
Okay, so what's the reward with a Coke?
It's immediate. You drink the liquid, you get a hit of sugar and a hit of caffeine. That is a biological and psychological reward. Your brain says, that felt good, let's do that again.
And because it's a drink, you just get thirsty again later. The cycle repeats itself.
Precisely. You're being conditioned. But they also used another trigger, Pavlovian association.
Pavlov. The bell on the dog salivating.
Yes. In the experiment, the bell rings, the dog gets food. Soon, the dog gets excited just hearing the bell. Coke spent billions associating their drink with happy things.
Sports, romance, the beach, family reunions.
All of it. So you see that red logo, that's the bell ringing, and your brain subconsciously links it to happiness.
Okay, so we have math for growth, psychology for desire, but you mentioned physics. I'm stuck on this one. How does physics apply to selling soda?
This is where it gets really cool. In engineering, we talk about efficiency and critical mass. In business, we call this scale advantage.
Ah, okay. The advantage of just being huge.
Right. It is a physical reality of mass production. Think about the machinery, the trucks, the bottling plants. Because Coke produces billions of cans, the cost to make one single can is incredibly low.
It's efficient.
Unbelievably efficient. A tiny competitor, let's call them Steve Soda, he can't match that. It costs him a lot more to make one can. Coke pays pennies.
So because Coke is physically massive, it becomes almost impossible to compete with them on price. It's like a physical barrier.
Exactly. It creates a fortress.
Yeah.
And finally, let's add the fourth lens, biology.
Biology. Is this about the ingredients?
No, this is about human nature.
Yeah.
We are social animals. We evolved in tribes. And the concept here is social proof.
Social proof.
Right.
The idea that if everyone else is doing it, it must be the right thing to do.
Yes. Think about it. If you're on the savannah and the whole tribe suddenly starts running toward the river, you run toward the river. You don't stop to ask why. It's a survival mechanism.
And today, if you walk into a store and see everyone holding a red can,
your biological instinct kicks in. That is the safe choice. That's the popular choice. It validates the product for you.
Which creates a feedback loop. The more people drink it, the more social proof there is, so more people want to drink it.
Correct. So,
yeah.
Do you see the aha moment here?
I think I do. It's not just that Coke had a good recipe. It's that they had math, psychology, physics, and biology all working for them.
All at the same time. That is the lattice work. When you layer these models on top of each other, you get this incredibly deep understanding of why they won. If you only looked at the marketing, you'd miss the cost advantage from the physics. You need all of them.
That is fascinating. It really shows the power of not staying in one lane.
And that's why an isolated fact is useless. Knowing the definition of social proof is fine, but seeing how it combines with scale advantage to build a global monopoly, that's wisdom.
Okay, so this lattice work helps us explain the past, but how do we use this today? How does this help me?
That's the big question. How do we apply it? The source gives us a great framework for this. We can call it the four-lens check.
The four-lens check. I like that. It sounds like a checklist to run through before a big decision.
It is. Let's say you're looking at an investment, maybe buying stock in a new tech company.
Okay.
How do you evaluate it?
Well, normally I'd probably look at the product, think, is this cool? Or maybe, is the CEO smart?
Which are valid questions, but they're limited. They're isolated facts. Let's run it through the lattice work instead. Let's use our lenses.
Okay, let's use a hypothetical. Let's
Hmm.
say an AI toaster company. Smart toast. Perfect toast every time.
I love it. Smart toast. Okay, so normally people just say, wow, nice toast. But let's apply the lattice work. Start with physics.
Okay, the physics check. What are we looking for?
We were looking for critical mass. In physics, that's the point where a reaction becomes self-sustaining. In tech, we call this the network effect.
Right, where the service gets more valuable the more people use it, like a social network.
Exactly. So the physics check is, does this business have a tipping point where it becomes unstoppable? Does your AI toaster have a network effect?
Ugh, probably not. My toast doesn't get any better because you also have a smart toaster.
Exactly. It fails the physics check. There's no critical mass.
Got it. Red flag number one. Okay, biology. What's the biology check?
We're looking at evolution and ecosystems. In nature, it's adapt or die. Is this company evolving? Or is it about to be eaten by a bigger competitor?
The business world as an ecosystem. I like that.
It is. A biological lens forces you to look at the competition. You might love smart toast, but if there's an apex predator, like a huge appliance company entering the market, your startup is lunch.
Right. If they just add a smart chip to their existing toasters, smart toast gets eaten.
Correct. It fails the biology check. No defense against predators.
Okay. Physics, failed. Biology, failed. What about psychology?
This is a big one for tech. You look at the leadership, but you have to be so careful of what psychologists call the halo effect.
The halo effect. That's when we assume that because someone is good at one thing, like public speaking, they must be good at everything else too.
Exactly. We see a CEO who gives great speeches,
Mm.
and we just assume they're a genius at operations and finance. The psychology check forces you to ask,
Hmm.
am I just being manipulated by charisma here?
That's a really important one. It's so easy to get swept up in the story.
And that brings us to the final check, the one that keeps us grounded. Math.
The cold, hard numbers.
Yes. Is the price rational? You could have everything else going for you, but if you're paying a price that assumes infinite growth, the math just doesn't work.
It's the ultimate reality check.
It is, and here's the key. If you only use the psychology lens, you might buy the Smart Toast stock because you love the CEO, and you'd lose all your money because the physics and the biology were terrible.
And if you only looked at the math, you might miss a company that looks expensive but has that physics critical mass about to tip.
Exactly. You need all four lenses to make a wise decision. That's the lattice work. It protects you from your own blind spots.
It's like having a team of experts in your head. A physicist, a biologist, a psychologist, and a mathematician, all weighing in.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And when they all agree, when the math, the physics, and the psychology all point in the same direction, that's when you have a real winner.
So we started this deep dive saying isolated facts are useless.
And I hope we've shown that. Facts are just bricks. A lattice work is the building. You need the structure to make the facts useful.
We've seen how Coke built an empire on the interconnection of many things, and we have this new tool, the four-lens check.
It really changes how you view the world. You start seeing connections everywhere.
So I have a challenge for everyone listening. It doesn't have to be about stocks.
No, absolutely not.
Look at a problem you're facing at work right now. You've probably looked at it through the lens of your job description, right? I'm a manager. I need to manage.
Right. But try switching lenses.
What happens if you look at that same problem through the lens of biology? Is it a territorial dispute? Is the team ecosystem toxic?
Or look at it through the lens of physics. Is there too much friction in the process? Are you trying to push something uphill without momentum?
Or psychology? Are the incentives all wrong?
It's a profound exercise. Often, just changing the lens reveals the solution that was hiding there the whole time.
It's a whole new way of thinking. Now, speaking of defenses, we talked about how Coke used these forces to build a giant wall around their business.
They certainly did. They made it very, very hard for anyone to attack them.
A lattice work helps us understand a business's defense. In episode 4, we will discuss the ultimate defense, the moat.
The moat. It's probably the most famous concept from these sources. I can't wait to discuss it.
It's going to be a great discussion. Thanks for listening to the deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep building that lattice work.